So you got onto the ship and you sailed away from that tomb. The tomb where you awoke these strange dead creatures that chased you all the way to the coast and never ceased chasing you until you finally got onto the ship and sailed away from the southern coast of Sodifjord with the intent of going north to Gunnland to find mercenaries, loyal mercenaries, hardworking mercenaries, or just mercenaries who will take coin. The journey is up to you if you want to go around the outside or if you want to go through the inner sea. Gunnland is like a big island, and you are going to have to go to Wormhold, which is like the capital of Gunnland. It's the biggest city in Gunnland. It's where all of the, you imagine, any of like company of mercenaries or any sort of like reaving crews are going to be hanging out, so you can hire them. But to get there, you can go two ways. You can go around the outside, which is like more like the ocean, or you can go through the inner sea, which would bring you close to King Castellan, which is where the king lives, and around that way.
Is there either of those methods that are particularly either safer or faster?
Going through the inner sea is probably safer. So it's like patrolled by ships and stuff. It's like a very popular or very busy sort of like shipping route. So it's unlikely you'll be like attacked or anything on that route. Yeah.
Yeah, that would probably be the way that Phelan would choose to go then, unless there was a reason to think that the other option would be better in some way.
No, I don't think better. More adventurous, more exciting. That's like a very stormy and very like impressive or like beautiful coast to sail down. That side of Gunnland has hundreds of islands that are like smashed by a storm-racked sea. So it's probably more dangerous, but it's the route the reavers will take. You're probably better off and safer going through the inner sea.
Yeah, I'll go with that then.
So you sail in that direction through this inner sea. You'll come to the point about 3 days in where you'll see to your west Castellan, which was once the capital of the Jotun when they ruled Iskloft, and now it's just this like broken island chain. There's a singular castle that remains that was once a Jotun tower and now is a castle that the king lives in. You can see it like jutting skyward for quite a distance as you sail past it. The architecture of the Jotun is something you maybe haven't seen before. There's not too much of it in Outblood unless you go to the major cities, which I don't think you would have done. So it's pretty amazing. You also know that Wormhold is also was once a Jotun city. And you get through that middle sea without any hassle. It's well patrolled. You like pass several ships along the way. And there are like polite exchanges, greetings and things like that. Never any hassle. And it's maybe 4 days until you can see up ahead Wormhold. First, you can see this dock, this port. It's the biggest that you've ever seen. There's probably 50 plus ships docked there. At the moment, there's a huge wall that like runs along the ocean and like encapsulates the dock itself. You'll have to pass through this like relatively thin part, like a gate basically for ships before you enter in. And you can see beyond that there's like that the city itself, there's like at the docks this huge just mass of buildings, longhouses, taverns, houses, shops and crafters all over the place. And then there's like several walled off sections of this city. All of the walls are stone, which is something you're probably not used to either. And they're all huge, like 50, 60 feet high. These were obviously not built by men. It leads up to a cliff face into which has been built various levels of this city and path leading upwards into some mountains. There are two mountains that stand opposite one another, one slightly higher than the other. At the top of the smaller mountain, there's a fortress, and then a bridge that leads across to the higher mountain. At the top of that is where Gunnar, the king, once lived, and where Gunnar, the Jarl, now lives. There's always been a Gunnar in Vormhold since it was named that. The place is enormous, probably staggering to look at. It's beyond anything you could have, I think, imagined. The architecture, everything is made of stone. The castles are so huge. And a bunch of the sailors who are with you will like look at it and just like whistle sort of low, like as they look at it. You pull your way into the port, and you can find a dock to pull into. There's like a crew on the dock who will like pull the ropes and haul your ship in and like tie it up and things like that. And there's a woman with like a wax tablet who's standing there waiting for you to get off the ship.
I think Vagnar would give the place a long scowl. He would. I don't think many stories get that far north, but I expect stories of these people did. He doesn't like the idea of being here, and he just glares at the woman with the wax tablet.
It's just so busy. There are so many people here. You think you could fit Ingvik into this city 100 times. There's thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people here in this city. It's by far the biggest like metropolis you've ever seen. It's crowded even, and there's just this constant noise of people, the ringing of hammers, the sounds of industry all over the place that echoes. As you step off the ship, this woman with the wax tablet, there's like 3 men with her, and she's like scrawling something into the tablet, and she looks up. Name?
Caleb.
See, Karlov what?
Ingvik.
She gives you this look of like, is that a place? Uh-huh. All right. Well, Carl, the charge is 5 hack silver a day. If you want, we can resupply you while you go about your business for an extra 15. Torn sails and ropes, broken oars, etc., can be replaced at a discount if you're interested in that. Any questions, you can see Hadvar in the dockmaster's office. Here's your token. She says, she hands you this like clay token that has like a number scrawled into it. And she waits expectantly for the money.
Yeah, Phelan will just nod and pull out 5 hack silver and hold it out.
Good. She puts it into like this coin purse at her side. And you won't require repairs or resupply?
What is the current like status of our of our ship? Does it need anything?
I mean, it can always do with the tuning up. It's also like you would have eaten, I think, most of your supplies getting here and like the journey around Sodderfield and stuff. I don't know how much you'd have stockpiled. It's always good to resupply with like fresh things like bread and things like that, because there's only so much salted fish you can eat before you start to go mad.
Yeah, Phelan would kind of motion behind him. He doesn't have that money just right there, but he would get it from the stores. The extra, I think you said 50, and
15.
hand that over as well. 15, yes.
Yep. So she'll take it and she'll like give a nod to one of the lads who'll like run off and come back with a crew of people with like tools and stuff like that to like see to the ship. Now, are you going to leave people here? Are you going to let them get some shore leave? What are you going to do with the crew? The sailors and the pirates are eager to get into the taverns.
I figure that it would be pretty safe to leave the ship here. Would
Yes. Yep.
Phelan be of a similar mindset?
Yeah, you've paid. You think if anything happens to this ship, like the Jarl will have to see to it, you know?
Yeah, in that case, Phelim would relinquish the crew from duties on the ship to go have a little bit of free time for a couple days.
Might I suggest that our bounty be moved elsewhere if the ship is to remain alone? This is a large city, and there are many wandering hands.
We've paid for this ship to be here. If anything happens to it, we will be owed compensation for it. Seems safer to leave it here under their watch than it is to carry it through such a crowded place alongside us.
Perhaps, Carl, we should bring half. That way we can offer something to mercenaries, proof that we're good for our word.
If you'd like to take an inventory, we can take down what the contents of your ship are and then guarantee them.
Yes, please.
There will be a small insurance fee.
I'm sure there will be.
I really must insist that we leave at least some with the ship. We can rotate their shore leave, perhaps, Carl.
I am inclined to agree with Ragnar. It seems a wise course of action.
What's your business here, Carl? What are you in search of? If it's sailor's vices you're after, you want to head to Fjaldima. And she points to like the kind of a walled off area at the seaside. It's where the cheaper taverns and brothels are. And there's just like this look in her eye, like that's probably where you belong.
Perhaps for some of the men, that'll be their destinations. I'm in the market for some mercenaries. Good ones.
I see. And she like looks you over. Like, do you have the money to pay for that? And she'll say, if it's good quality mercenaries you're after, you'll want to go to Stríðstrákar. And the Street of Iron, and she like points up above the cliff. For this collection of like tall longhouses. And she says, many of the established companies have longhouses there. But they are pricey.
I should be able to make it work. Kind of just like nods at the blatant snobbery that's being given to him.
You'll be wanting to stay out of the upper city itself without an invitation, Carl. It's citizens only up there. By that she means like the actual mountains.
As you say. I'll make sure that all the men are aware that that is off limits.
Good. Well then, if there's nothing else.
Nothing else indeed. Kind of turn away from this person back to the other companions.
She'll say just before she goes, there are less reputable crews available in the Fjaldima. Well, best of luck, Carl, she says, and then turns.
And Phelim will just ignore the the woman's last suggestion, and turn back to the rest of the crew. Right, well, it seems we have a couple decisions to make then. A couple of you are insisting that we leave people here. I'm curious as to why.
Justice to be earned, Carl, even among those who we hope would be honorable.
And if we were to leave a contingent here, do you really think that that would stop any person here from actually doing anything while we're gone?
Perhaps not. They're less likely with someone to identify them.
I'm not certain that it's necessary, but if one of you would like to assemble a rotation of a couple people to stay just in case, you're welcome to do so.
Shall be done, Carl. Wagner is going to ensure that a small, maybe 4 or 5, of a mixture of our original men and the pirates remain on the ship at all times. They will be brought food and drink from the others, and they will swap every 4 hours.
There's a groan from those who are told to stay behind for the first shift. They've been on sea for a long time, and they can see like the bars and the excitement beyond. So there's like a sake, but then they like agree.
You'll have drink and food brought to you. My concern is more of a quiet approach. Ships can be stolen aboard.
So some of the crew then stay on the ship and like get ready to protect it. They look disgruntled, but will do as they're told. While the rest of the crew like excitedly make their way towards the Fjaldima, which is the docklands area, and like you see them like pushing each other, and like one of them grabs another in the headlock and like gives them a nuggie as they like excitedly move their way towards the bars and the brothels and the depravity that you can only really find in cities in Iskloft. Most of the settlements are too small to have that kind of thing going on, so they know they're in for some excitement.
Sigrid, how do your people view Sather and those of my type?
Sigrid would kind of narrow her eyes at you. What do you mean?
In some places, those with my gift are welcome, and in others they are not.
It's not a gift. Magic is for the gods, not for us mortals.
Visla kind of nods and she looks at Phelim. Carl, I seek your permission to attend to my own business while you seek out mercenaries. I have a suspicion that my presence would not be beneficial to you.
If you have things you'd like to take care of, you're more than welcome to do so.
City like this is dangerous.
Sigrid would probably narrow her eyes even more when you say that to Visla. She doesn't trust you. Carl, would you want me to stay with her to make sure she is safe.
I'll kind of eye over to Havisla and probably, despite understanding what you mean, we'll just look over and say, Havisla, you need Sigrid to keep you safe.
Thou Skal has here duties.
Exactly. Havisla shakes her head and kind of looks at Vagnar and nods again in agreement, surprising herself. She says, I will be fine, and Sigrid's place is by your side. Perhaps now more than ever.
Phelan will just look back towards Sigrid, like, and just kind of give that look of like, well.
You make your way into the Fjeldima. You have to move through it to get into the upper city, and it is just a disgusting place. There are all these taverns, which are in themselves unusual. Most like villages you would have been to would have a long hall where like the people who live there can go and hang out, but there are like places here that are just for drinking and just for gambling, and it's odd. There are people falling all over themselves in the street. It's the middle of the day. There are people like throwing up outside. You see numerous fights as you like make your way up this path. You also see already ahead of you one of the boys from your crew starting shit with somebody else outside of a bar, like squaring up to him forehead to forehead. I don't know if you want to stop and deal with that or if you want to keep going.
Unless prompted, I don't think Phelan would bother. Like, as long as nobody dies, like, he thinks that it's probably going to be fine, you know, if somebody gets a black eye or you know,
Sure,
gets into some trouble.
It's not just your guys either. Like, it seems to be very common around here in this part. There are women like waving at you from various windows and making crude gestures and things like that as you make your way through this area, which is probably very surprising. It's not common at all. You wouldn't see it in any villages. But here in the city, with so many people, there are needs to be met and vices to be fed that you cannot feed anywhere else in Iskloft. So it's probably quite surprising and maybe a little bit like shocking as you like move your way through the Fjeldima.
Just a quick question, Lloyd, regarding where we are at the moment. These places where gambling and drinking and places to buy things, do all of these places pay a tribute to the Carl, or are there some people who are independent for other places, or is this just full of Gunlanders?
So there's lots of, I mean, you would see like signs outside from lots of people from all over Iskloft, but you would imagine the basic situation is that you pay rent here, so all of the money will move its way up, eventually ending up in that castle at the very top.
Yeah, Vagnar's just musing. Perhaps if a steady stream of revenue could be acquired, this would be a good place to begin it. But he keeps it to himself for now.
So you move through this Fjeldima and you start to ascend a path that's cut into the cliff. There's merchants hawking wares, food, pieces of clothing, jewelry, all sorts of stuff like that. You've never seen so many goods in one place either. Like, most of the time when you buy something, it's because there's a merchant who has come to your village, or it's from the smith who lives in your village. Here, there are people from everywhere. You can see lots of Gunlanders, but also you can see, well, you definitely don't see any Iron Eyes, which is something you would notice. But other than that, all of the other cultures here are represented. You even see a few Ulf walking around, 3 of them, with like these long wolf pelts and like matted hair and beards. They like walk through the marketplace that you're in. They don't seem to cause any hassle. And you would see Taun, people here as well, from all the way across the sea from Phelan's home. Very cosmopolitan, people from absolutely everywhere. And as you continue upwards, you'll see like a general but steady like increase in the quality of both goods and houses. So like at the dockside, a lot of the houses are like wood and like shacks and like merchant stalls. Well, as you get higher, they start to be made out of like much more high quality sort of foundations, and also you'll start to see stone buildings in a lot of the places, which again is not something that would be too common at the frontier where you're from. These like finely made stone buildings with like actual glass windows and things like that. Eventually, you'll come to the Stríðstrákar, which is the Street of Iron. Named that because this is where the smithing quarter is, but also where the mercenary quarter is. There's this long street that's on a steep hill, and you can see like water kind of pouring from all of the smith shops, dirty water, and you can hear this constant ringing, ding, 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 of hammers and of forges everywhere you look. And there are a bunch of like very, very large longhouses here that have banners fluttering in front of them.
Before we advance too far into the city, might I suggest we discuss our stratagem? These people are notoriously hard to parley with. What is your approach, Carl?
Well, I should have perhaps more than they would expect someone of my status to have. I'm quite fortunate to come across a variety of funds. Say we find somewhere good, if not even great. Start with a modest amount of hack silver. We'll move up from there as needed.
So you can recognize one of the banners immediately. It's a golden boar on a green field. It's Gaia who are the Spear Brothers. They're like one of the most famous mercenary companies in Iskloft. Have a sterling reputation, are known to always get the job done, have never broken their word or a deal, but you imagine quite pricey. You see some others as you like make your way up this street. Outside of the Geirbrother establishment, there's like a couple of like tables, like picnic tables basically, where there's men outside drinking and like chatting. You see a couple of them playing, what the hell is it called? Nefertafel, which is like the Viking chess sort of analogy. But it seems a very sort of quiet and staid place. In total contrast to just across the road and up a little bit, there's like this mud pit, this little ring, and there's people in it fighting, and there's like people outside cheering and like shouting, and there's like hack silver being thrown on the ground, and people like betting on this fight. Inside of this like little ring, there's a man and a woman, both stripped to the waist, who are like fighting each other, and the woman like grabs the man and like flips him over and then leaps on top of him and is just like hammering her fist into his face, and people are like cheering. There's a banner, this dirty banner hanging above it, in total contrast to this the Spear Brothers banner, which is like immaculately clean. It's like covered in blood and muck, and the symbol is of a wolf with a star in its mouth.
Would we be able to do some kind of check to see if we recognize the symbol?
Yes. Lore wise, you have it?
I don't think I do. So never mind.
There's that banner. There's also further on, there's two more of these big long houses. One of them has this white banner with two crossed red axes. And then at the very end of this street, there's a black banner with a white raven emblazoned upon it. Yeah, both of which have a sort of similar vibe to the Spear Brothers, where it's like quiet and reserved and like no chaos, but there is chaos outside this one particular place.
Are any of you familiar with any of these places?
If any of you have lore wise, you can make a check.
I'll give it a go.
Yeah, I rolled it and I got a 4, so
20,
out of element.
21.
Okay. So Sigverker, in your life, you have come across all of these companies in your time. The Spear Brothers are well known. The other with the red axes, that's Ogvai's bastards. You know that to be the mercenary company run by Ogvai. Ogvai, 3 names. The Jotunnet. The one with the chaos outside, they are known as Stríðstrákar or War Boys. They're just like this manic, relatively new mercenary company that have a reputation for getting the job done, but leaving quite a bit of damage in their wake. And at the very, very end, there's Hraffenfóðir, who are the Raven Feeders, who are like also new, but have the opposite reputation to the chaotic ones, where they're like quiet and they get the job done. And they're trying to build a reputation similar to the Spear Brothers.
I think those who are the most boisterous are probably looking to prove themselves. The one more reserved have already done so. And that will be indicative of their price.
I don't think you're wrong. I think the ones that have piss and vinegar, you will get double their numbers for the same price as those that have proven themselves already. And sometimes numbers can tip the scales. Sometimes not.
Sometimes half the men and twice as good gets you further.
They all bleed the same.
Sigrid would nod her head when you say that, Phelim. And then as Sigverka chimes in as he finishes, she says, I would agree that the best thing for us to do is to get, if it's fewer men, but those that are tested, those others, and she would kind of scowl at them.
There is no reason that some of the untested can't be picked up along the way. For example, perhaps you were to say to them that a show was to go on in one of the halls. They might pop their heads in the door. It might be enough to persuade them. And then you have tried and tested. And, well, the unblooded. Slightly more in your ranks than you would possibly have.
So this is more of like a real quick, like an out of character thing, like that I feel like Phelim definitely would know, but I just don't. Like how many people, like, because I know we're trying to get an army to defend Ingvik from the Esculfin. I just like don't really have an idea of like scale as far as like how many people in the army would be.
Sure. It depends. It gets less and less as you go further north. You don't know Uthel's numbers, but you think like being a Radit warlord, he probably has at most 150. That would be like probably generous. It's like very hard to maintain more troops than that where he lives. So you think if you got like somewhere close to that, or more ideally, you could be confident, but you don't know how many he has. He might, have more than that or less than that, or he might, it's, I don't know. But you think like 100 is a good number for the part of the world that you're from. That would be a significant force up there.
Okay, yeah, that kind of gives me a good sense of perspective.
I mean, it depends. Like, you come out 100 warriors, you'll still have like levy and like people called up from villages and stuff who will like be the bulk of the force. But like to have a solid shield wall of like 100 professional warriors, that would be good. The actual battle scale will be much larger than that, but that's for like your troops.
Yeah. All right, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Lionel. Go ahead. I just wanted to get that in real quick.
No, I think Sigrid would just kind of lean in closer to you, Phelim, and say, Carl, whatever you decide, it is important that you be firm. Now is not the time to show weakness. Be more like, and she hates that she's going to say this, but she kind of looks over at Wagner. You need to be more like him. I do not care much for these Gunlanders, but, and she spits. She goes, but damn, they can fight.
And that's what we need right now. I don't need friends. I need warriors. I'll take that into consideration, though. We'll not speak to these people like we've spoken to some of the towns that we've stopped by.
If I may, Carol, there is there's wise to those words, but a too firm hand could squeeze the life out of what you're trying to accomplish. I believe what you need to do is cover them in goose fat so that you may slide them across the ice. If you can win their hearts, their minds will follow.
These men, they see only one thing, and that's silver, glory. I do not think a man would. And she thinks, and clearly her bias is coming out. I question whether any of them have honor. But Sigverka is right. Feed their egos.
There's two things. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, we've already made friends and crew members of pirates. I hardly seem strange that you would look at them higher than you would look at Gunlander mercenaries, Sigrid.
There are two things that make mercenaries successful. One, their ability to kill, and secondly, their reputation. If we could argue that acting along with us will bolster such a thing, may prove more appealing that they will be standing against Colbrander and his giant and his witch.
So maybe I would know and maybe I wouldn't, Lloyd, but would Colbrander be a name that people know, or is he just like, is he an antagonist just to us, or is he like a name that people would hear and go like, oh yes?
Yeah, he would be the kind of Jarl that's fairly well known throughout Iskloft for his raids and reeves over his many years. You can be confident that people down here would like have heard of him.
Anyway, yeah, Phelim would just nod to Wagner. Yes, perhaps if they had a chance to be the one who killed Uthul Colbrander, that might sweeten the deal a little bit, make them more interested. There's reputation to be gained.
Which do we approach, Carl? We must act quickly.
It's a tough decision. I fear that trying to get, you kind of look up towards the Spear Brothers, such a reputable force for such a lowly crew as ourselves, he would kind of scoff. It would be tough. The prices would be even higher than normal. Expectations would be low. Maybe tough to convince. Perhaps some of the young bloods might be more eager.
Kavisla, you have business to attend to here in Formhold. What is that business? Where do you want to go?
Vista would like to seek out a Sather. She suspects that in a city of this size there must be at least one, perhaps more.
Sure. Yep. I think that's like a confident bet. You would think that most people with those kind of abilities would like masquerade as like healers or as like herbalists and things like that. And like asking around a little bit, you can make your way to a certain street that's like known for that, for like healers and alchemists and people of that kind of nature.
And she'll walk down the street and keep an eye out for particular runes and maybe herbs hanging, drying, that might signal to her this is someone of her ilk, someone who knows the same kinds of rituals that she does.
Sure. So you can enter into this store. There's all these there's all this mistletoe hanging outside and like herbs being smoked and things like that. Into like this dark store. There's all this herbs hanging from every part of the roof. There's like a thick sort of smoke in here. And various like tinctures and powders and stuff in jars and stuff all over the place. There's a young woman sitting behind the counter. She has like this knife and she's like cleaning under her fingernails. This like shock of bright red hair. And she like looks up. Yes.
Are you the owner of this shop?
I am.
a healer.
I'm many things. I can heal.
I also am many things, but I would seek the wisdom of another as well.
Then sit. And she like points to this this little stool on the other side of the counter.
My name is Visla. And I wish to know something of the future.
Of course you do. We all do. It's not certain.
Never is.
And what do you wish to know, Havisla?
I wish to know what will become of the child.
They all do. They all do. I can look into the future for you.
I warn you. If you lie to me, I will see it.
She like flashes this smile. Her teeth are like bright white. Probably the cleanest you've ever seen. I would not lie. Dishonorable to lie, nay? I'll need blood and hair.
Aye, you'll have both.
So she'll take this little needle and she'll like prick your thumb and drop 3 drops into this little bowl. She'll take a single strand of your hair, like wrap it around her finger, and then pull it out, put it into the bowl, and she'll like reach around for various powders and like throw them in, measuring them, you think. And she'll like take a couple of leaves off this herb and then a couple from this one. And she'll like open this like dank jar with like this yellowish liquid inside, and reach inside and pull out this egg that looks ancient. And she'll like put that into the bowl as well and close it. She'll take like a mortar and pestle and begin mixing it all together. She like looks around. And then she like takes a long drink of the thing. She begins to chant, though it's not the old language that you chant in. It's something else. It's like musical, lyrical. Not the sort of harsh tones that you sing Odin songs in. And her eyes will like roll back in her head for a moment. there'll be this weird sort of like noise, this sort of and there'll be almost a rattle of some of like jars and the herbs and stuff, and one of the herbs hung up above will like onto the ground before she like opens her eyes again. I do not think you want to know. But before I tell you, you'll pay me.
Of course. What will you have?
For a vision like this, it was clear, clearer than usual, of 20 hack silver.
If it was clearer than usual, then perhaps it was easier than usual.
You do not know. You're a child if you think that this is easier because it is clearer. It is harder. Harder on me, more exhausting, more frightening.
Visla's brow furrows, and she'll fumble with the purse that she keeps wrapped inside her cloak. Aye. Here. Speak to me.
She'll like take the money and put it into a drawer. The child will be born. Though it will not grow with you. Darkness and trees and music and song are in its future. Strange creatures. I will not utter their name here.
Visla is white, and her knuckles are gripping the edge of the table.
Though your child will grow and grow mighty, and a crown of flowers will adorn the head of your child. And they'll whisper the name of it in all corners of this world.
Thank you.
You should not have it.
Visla kind of closes her eyes. And she thinks back to Arnvid, to Ingvik, to the creature they encountered in that place along the river. Perhaps not.
I can make you a tea.
Can you give me the leaves for it, and I shall brew it myself?
She like gets a couple of leaves and then this like powder and like combines them into a little bag. And then she gets another one. There will be much blood.
Aye.
Maybe it will work, though I don't think so. There's greatness in this child's future, and I don't know if there's anything that you or I can do about it. The skein of its fate is strong and woven, and I can see it clearly.
It frightens me.
It should.
How much for the tea?
Have it.
Thank you. Thank you for your wisdom and your words.
As you like go to leave, she follows you to the door, and as you like walk down the street, you can see her like drawing in chalk something on the doorway, and like taking one of the pieces of mistletoe and like shaking it around the place, obviously warding off something.
Is like kind of catches that as she glances over her shoulder, and then puts a hand to her stomach and shudders.
On the Street of Iron, you've been standing there for some time discussing what's to be done. These various mercenary houses in front of you. There's also, they said, crews that you could hire down in the Fjaldima, rough reaver crews if you're interested in that. You stand there now.
I say we approach the Spear Brothers at least. If folk hear we have them on our side, more will be inclined to join us. Use their reputation. At least stronger men rather than weaker and untested.
They will have quite an advantage against us in negotiations. We have very little to us, and they have everything. But perhaps it can't be too bad just to at least hear it out. See where they stand. Work from there.
As I say, if you win their hearts over, you'll win their minds over. Perhaps ply them with some mead. Sweeten the deal, as it were, with honey wine.
And do not forget this. And Sigurd would tap the hilt of your sword that you carry. This is not the gift of a simple man. Use it to your advantage, Kyle. Powerful weapon for a powerful man.
Yeah, and Phelan would kind of nod and like adjust the sword's like position on his belt so that it's like prominent and quite visible, like making sure that it's not hidden in any way.
So you're going to go into the Spear Brothers longhouse?
Yes.
So nobody stops you as you go in, and it's quiet inside. There's maybe 20 men in here, men and women who are like quietly drinking and talking. It's pretty calm. One of them will like stand and as they see you enter and will approach. Help you?
I'm interested in your services. I'd like to speak with whoever needs to.
That'll be the captain with me. And he like walks past a lot of these tables and into where this door is, and he like knocks 3 times and then 3 times. And he opens the door up, and there's like this older man sitting there behind a desk. He's got this like ragged scar running across his neck. Obviously, he's had his throat cut at some stage. He's got a salt and pepper beard, though he's bald with tattoos on his head. He's got rings on each finger and a Mjolnir amulet around his neck, though he's not armored. He looks up. Thank you. And he just does this like gesture for you to come in. Oh, and send for Oswalder, he says to the merc, and he nods.
Yeah, Phelan will enter into the room confidently, like keeping himself held up and forward. kind of like nod for the rest of them as well. Yes, hello. I'm Carl Phelim of Ingvik.
Ingvik. Old? Ingvar the Old?
He has passed, sadly, but yes.
Fuck. Didn't think he'd ever die. Sorry about
No
that.
one did.
Well, if you take a seat.
Yeah, he will.
As you're kind of taking your seat, the door opens and this ancient man enters. He's got this like long, scraggly hair. He's got tattoos from the forehead down of runes, covering every surface of his skin, his fingers, everything that you can see. He wears pretty nice robes, and he has this sword belted at his side. And he comes in and he sits behind this captain.
Mirroring this, Vagnar stands at Phelim's shoulder silently, his arms crossed over each other in front of him.
So I take it this is not a social call. You're here to try and hire the Spear Brothers.
That's correct. We're in need of some additional forces.
A long fucking way to go. Money best be good.
We can certainly make it worth your while.
Well, we've got a detachment in the lands of the Iron Eyes. They're fighting some skirmish against Valleylanders. But there's enough here. We've got about 50, maybe, that we could muster. If you give us a week, we could get more. And he's like doing calculations in his head. Who are you fighting? Who needs mortality?
Uthal Colbrander.
Fuck. Oh, wow. Interesting. And he like turns around to the old man next to him, and the old man like cracks this smile. He's got brown teeth, and he says something quietly to him. The captain nods. Uthal fucking Colbrander the dragon. Man's got a reputation.
Yes, and yet I've heard so do you.
When people come to us and ask us to go and fight their wars, we always have to balance what we think we'll gain from it. Not running a charity. If you could pay us well, we'll go and fight Uthal Colbrander, but rumor has it he's got a giant with him, and a witch. Asvalder here, he can deal with the witch. He's done it before. The giant's a different story.
What's your normal rate?
Well, each of our men will have to get paid 5 hack silver a week. Then for myself and for our 3 Sather, well, 2. One of them is in Valleyland. They'll be needing 20 a week. And there'll be transport costs. And he takes out this little wax tablet next to him, and he begins to like scribe down all these things. He's going through all these like different things that you have to pay for, like transport costs, and then like upkeep, and then like feeding the troops while they're over there. He would say, I don't suppose that you'll be able to feed this force yourself if we get to Ingvik.
It would be a strain on the agriculture there, especially preparing for wartime.
Then we'd have to bring supplies on a supply train. It's going to be more money. He's like writing all this stuff down. How many do you want?
$50.
50. Okay, well, looking at, and he's like writing in this tablet. It'll be 250 hack silver a week for the lads. It'll be 100 for captains and say there. Transport, another 50 a week. Looking at about 750 hack silver a week, I suppose.
What would be the reasonable expectation for duration of such a thing?
You have to get there, which will take a long time, and they'll be paid for that. So it'll take them well over a week to get to Upblot and to get to Ingvik. So maybe like 10 days, a little bit more than that to get there, if not longer, actually. Could be 2 weeks. If they sail nonstop. And then the battle, I mean, that's really up to you. If you're going to bring them to attack Uthal, it's different. But if you're waiting for him to attack, it could be months.
And a very important question. Can you remind me what the going rate of gold is compared to silver?
Really high. So there's probably 100 hack silver for a hack gold, if you were to talk about it that way.
Because I have 2 golden torques right now. So
yeah. So there's probably about let's see, how big are they? If you hack them up, it's probably like 1,500 hack silver, if not more. Maybe 2,000 hack silver in those 2 torques.
all right, so we could get them 50 for like 3 to 4 weeks.
There's also concerns of looting, sacking, things of that nature. Will we bring the fight to Uthal? If that's the case, our boys will want a percentage or whatever is in that hold of his.
Of course.
Particularly if we're doing most of the fighting. So we'll say half. Whatever's in there, we'll take half.
I mean, they are half our numbers, so that actually kind of makes sense.
If we're doing the sacking, well, depends, I suppose. If you want to take the settlement and not destroy it, that's your business. But when the boys get in there, and if we win, it's very hard to rein them back, eh? Even if they are the most disciplined fighting force in this nation of ours. When the men's blood is up, very hard to bring it down.
Of course. Phelan's kind of like, maybe just not. He's trying his best to not look unsure, but he would kind of just like look to the other people in the party, just to kind of give them a look of like, do we approve or not?
You must understand that our Carl is very busy. We have journeyed far, and we have arrived here and come immediately to you. You will understand if we take time to consider your fee.
He smiles, of course. Listen, I don't mean any offense by this, but you wouldn't be the first to come in here expecting to hire the Spear Brothers and realizing that maybe it's not something that you can afford. There are plenty of other reputable companies out on the street.
The funds are not the concern.
What worries me is the Spear Brothers purely asking for money, asking for payment. Once upon a time, they used to trade upon their name. And I don't know. I saw a lot of names out there on the street. James the Spear Brothers, maybe not quite the highest name regarded.
You're trying to bait me, it seems.
No, not at all. I'm just merely speaking my mind.
The reputation that we have forged over hundreds of years in this outfit speaks for itself. It is a name that is known in all parts of Iskoft. Everyone knows that if you want the best fighting force, you get the Spear Brothers. We have nothing to prove to you.
I mean no disrespect. I did not mean to speak out of turn. I assure you. It just seems that 100 years of reputation can flow away fast when there's others biting at your ankles and stealing the contracts that you would have been given.
If you want to hire the War Boys or the Raven Feeders or even fucking Ogvi, then you can do that. And you can pay the price for bringing those amateurs into your lands, and you can pay the price for bringing that monster into your lands and the things that happen thereafter. If you want reliability and you want honor and discipline, then you hire the Spear Brothers. If you don't, there's the door.
If you are to be hired, you will of course be paid what we agree upon. It's not a question of you being paid. There is glory to be found in the north. Much of it. I'm sure you would be happy to reconvene once we've assessed our options.
Of course, you can take as long as you need. I'll be here.
We'll be back soon.
He doesn't rise as you leave the room and back out into the hall and back out into the loud street.
Is there any way I can get just a more thorough read of the kind of hall as we pass through? Sure.
I mean, it's clean. The soldiers here, the men and women, are clean. They don't have that ragged look that you see in like the people of the Iskolfin or like Reavers. You know, like their beards are short cropped. Their hair is almost all shaved off. Many of them are like playing games of strategy. There's very little like carousing or like loudness in this hall. It's a quiet place. There's also like several like banners hanging from walls and like some tapestries and things that you can see of previous victories, although they are tattered and old. It seems that there haven't been too many like great victories in recent years.
The kind of food and drink that's being partaken of, I guess, is of good quality.
Yeah, it's not like outstanding, but it's definitely nice meat and two veg sort of stuff.
You are.
So one of the things, Sigrid was very quiet through that whole exchange, but that doesn't mean that she wasn't paying attention. One of the things I think, Lloyd, she would be doing is, as he's kind of proposing these things to Phelim, she would be looking for any sort of tells, like a twitch of the mouth, a flick of the eyes, something that says, I'm throwing this out here, asking to see how much this guy will pay. So yeah, she would just be looking for any kind of like crack in this guy's kind of facade.
Yeah. I'll tell you, you think this man is a professional poker player. Like, his face did not, like, he got annoyed when Sigverker like questioned the reputation, or like suggested that they were just after the money. But like, it seems to you that this is a man whose like job it is to not reveal things. Like, his job is to stand there and go, yes. He's like the sternest fuck that you've ever seen. Definitely a commander, like a very experienced man. So there's not much that you could like glean from the way he acted. Obviously, there's like a sore point in the reputation, and like asking for money instead of just like the glory of the fight. But beyond that, not much.
That's actually very helpful. Awesome.
Ragnar will wait until they are out of earshot, perhaps even into the street. And he turns and he says, "My Carl, I believe I have a strategy, but it is a bold one."
Let's hear it at the least.
The hack silver and the treasure that we have acquired, we can use that to hire the services of lesser mercenaries. We can then discover from this place price, locations, to strike quietly, to raid. We hire 3 mercenary companies to do this. We acquire more wealth. Then we hire the best.
To raid in Gunnland lands would be exceptionally difficult. These would not be the little towns that we hit in the south.
We would have Gunlanders on our side, Carl.
Sigrid would interrupt, not wanting Phelim to answer Vagnar's question. Maybe she's a bit afraid of what Phelim might answer. And she says, it's more of a question she asks him. "Carl, how did you measure that man?" And she kind of looks over her shoulder at the longhouse behind them.
Well, the reputation of the Spear Brothers speaks for itself. He
She
knows
shakes
what
her
he
head.
has, but
She shakes her head no when you say that, as you're saying that.
he's a good businessman, first and foremost.
I could not read him, my Carl. They are disciplined, I'll give them that. Not like others that we saw here.
They say in all their time, the Spear Brothers have never left a mission after a contract has been accepted.
Truth be told, Carl, this is something I have heard of many Gunlanders. Like I said, when they make an oath, they keep it.
Yet, I'm not sure just any Gunlander will keep it when they see Uthel's giant running towards them.
And what of them? And she points down the street to the White Raven. And what did you say? It was on like a black...
Yeah, Blackfield.
Mhm.
The Allfather, he has many names. Oh, I don't know. I'm probably going to butcher this. Harafanas is one of them. The Raven God. It is a good omen that we see this. We should try there.
Anyone can stitch a raven, you dumb bitch. Fuck all.
Your disdain for the
Sad-
gods is... And she just spits.
Disdain for you, I assure you.
Sadly, my heart is with Wagner on this one. Just because they put a raven on their banner, it doesn't make them blessed. It just makes them good businessmen too.
So, go and measure them then, Carl.
I will. I was planning on it.
So is that where you're going?
Yep, unless there was any objections, that would be the plan.
So then you walk up the street past this chaos on your right-hand side. These war boys, this fight outside in the pit. You can see there's two men in there now, like fighting, bare knuckle, and people shouting and cheering. As you walk past the weirdly quiet longhouse with the two axes crossed in front of it of Ogvai's bastards. No people stand outside, no guards even. You make way down to the end of the street where there are two guards standing outside of this place, both of whom are like armed and armored, both with spears. They look and give you a nod and just like incline their head inwards.
Yeah, Phelan will enter.
So you'll see as you enter, there's a bunch of like games happening, and there's like a collection of men standing around. There's like a skald telling a story of Thor and Loki when they went into Jotunheim, and they had to do all these challenges for the giants, where Thor had to like drink the mead horn. But in the mead horn was the entire ocean. He like the skald like brings it to his lips, this horn, and then he like spills it all over himself and like coughs and splutters. And there's like a cheer and like a clap from the people watching. Other than that, there's lots of people in here sitting around and like quietly talking. One will approach and say, "Captain's seeing someone at the moment. If you want to speak with our banner bearer, you could do that. He's second in command."
Does he have authority to give me a price?
He does.
I'll see him then.
So she leads you past this like gathering where the skald is like now miming Thor lifting this cat that was actually the world serpent. He's like trying to lift this little stuffed cat, and he's like, ooh, like he can't do it, acting like a fool as you walk past. And you come to this table. There's a man sitting there, possibly the biggest man in terms of like muscle mass that you've seen. He's got these huge like tree trunk like arms and this upside down triangle of a torso. And he's like eating this like hunk of bread. You can see that next to him, like leaning against the wall, is a banner. It's got this raven and black. It's pristine and perfectly clean. And there's an axe on the table next to him. He looks up. Sit.
Phelan will sit.
Ragnar repeats his action and stands at his right shoulder.
Well, you're here. You know what we do. We're feeders of ravens. What can I help you with?
We're in the market for some men.
Yes.
I need a band brave enough to go fight with me alongside mine against Uthal Colbrander.
Uthal.
Yes.
Reputation to be made there, eh? I know his name.
Glory.
Don't know yours. Maybe after this, I will. Maybe after this, they all will.
Perhaps. I'm Carl Phelim, Vingvik.
Well, Carl Phelim of Ingvik, I think this is something the captain would be interested in. How many men do you need? What's the go here?
We'll start with 50, maybe more, depending on your rates.
I've seen that face before. That's a man who has come to us last, eh? Tried the big boys, couldn't afford them. Now you're in here. Wouldn't be the first, won't be the last.
It's not a matter of cost. I just need to make sure and see what the game is around here. To who says what for how much.
Well, I can't blame you for not going with Ogva. He scares the piss out of me, to be honest. And the Spear Brothers, a little bit fucking stuck up. And the fucking War Boys, maniacs. You can't hire them. It's likely to kill you as the enemy. We don't fuck around. Building a reputation of dependability and discipline. Captain prides himself on it.
Yes, he does, and so does every mercenary leader in this city. At least that's what they say.
True, very true. Well, rates. And as he says that, like this door opens, and you can see this like older man, obviously the captain, like ushers some people out, and you recognize them, Wagner and Phelim. It's a long-haired man with red hair and a sword, and this woman at his side with like a split lip. And like they come out, and then they see you, and there's a moment before one of them puts his arms wide. Good fortune, hey. Fancy meeting you here. And he steps forward, Farrell Redblade.
Yeah, Phelim tries to hide his surprise. Just, yes, fancy indeed, isn't it?
The skeins of our fate are interwoven, Kyle. It must be good fortune that we meet here in this place. Speaking to second in command, I see. How fitting. Bannerberry gives him this look, but the captain shoots him a look of like, don't.
For the time being, yes.
Interesting. And what has you here? Looking to... Surely not. And he like starts to piece it together. Surely not. You don't think...
Yeah, Phelim just like stares him straight in the face, like he doesn't say anything.
Well, Carl, pleasure to see you again. And you. And they look at you, Wagner, and the smiles like fade from their faces. We see you too.
Oh, I look forward to it.
They make their way out of the building. And the captain gives you this look. If you'll speak to me.
Yes.
brings you into the office, and the banner bearer follows. He carries the banner with him. He obviously never leaves it anywhere. And he says, "This is. I assume you have been, or you're familiar with Varl."
Yes. Familiar is perhaps not the correct word, but we now am.
Right. You've come here to hire men.
Yes.
And for what purpose?
He just kind of gives Vagnar a look of like, oh god, there's no way this goes well. To fight Colbrander.
Ah. Well, that's awkward.
I imagine you perhaps have made some arrangements already.
Just this moment. Obviously, we can't send troops to both of you. Can't have our boys fighting each other.
And have you confirmed the deal already?
Suffice it to say that we are in contract. Can't really speak more than that. Wouldn't be professional.
So this is another thing that Phelan would probably know that I wouldn't. Would it be reasonable to outbid somebody at this point, or is like honor bound at this point for them to follow through?
It's a good question. If they've made the deal and like sworn oaths and stuff, there's no way that they would like break it now, but you don't know how far along that deal was. Do you know what I mean?
How much are they paying you?
Enough.
Likely too much. I killed their strongest. And I assure you, he lacked control.
Listen, Carl, it's an awkward situation, I'm afraid. But we're on contract. Nothing I can do about it.
Are you all ready by oath?
You're asking a lot of questions here that I feel uncomfortable answering, if I'm honest.
I'm merely trying to make arrangements. If you are unable to, then perhaps we will find other people.
All right, let's see. He like looks and sees that the door is closed. He like looks at the banner bearer for a second. Well, they hired 50. 500 a week. And half the spoils when we take Ingvik.
Vagnar notes that there is a gap as this revelation is made. And he has another idea. You are sworn to Uthal. Maybe just the coin for now. How would you like his coin and ours?
You're going to have to explain that to me.
In time. Are you open to negotiation or not?
Negotiations, yes, but we won't put our honor into question.
We shall see.
Sigurd would step forward, maybe a little too quickly, and say, "My Carl is an honorable man. He would not ask you to break oath. If you have made oath with these others, then we will end our business here. But if you have not, then I pray you listen to what my Carl has to say."
Dear Faye, dear friend, he like starts to recite the little piece of Havamal that is about all things die except your reputation. It's like something that people will often quote when they're put into awkward positions, when their honor is at stake. All things die except for the reputation you leave behind.
And what reputation do you get by taking Ingvik? What reputation could you have by taking Colbrander?
Well, after Ingvik, there's more. You're not the only Carldom in that land.
So has he hired you for long term then?
Potentially.
Would Sigrid or any of the others know how much coin or how much tax silver this that he could muster? Because that's at 500 a week. That would add up real quickly.
Uthal is wealthy. From countless raids over the years. He has like several crews that go raiding for him. He's wealthy for sure. He's a ring breaker. Don't have all day, Carl, to be honest, and I don't know how well this is going to go. I think this is going to get increasingly uncomfortable for all of us involved, so it's probably best that you look elsewhere.
Perhaps expect us one more time before we leave. You would do that, would you not?
I got nowhere else to be.
Sounds like that might not be true. Might see you later.
I will see you one way or the other, eh?
Seems to be. And with that, Phelan would make his way out, unless there was anything else.
I'd like to take a second just to unnerve this guy and do a similar thing that I did to Phelan. And ask to see his hand.
He raises an eyebrow, but then shows you.
I'll place my hand on top of his. One story ends quicker than the other. But there are two stories there. They intertwine. They diverge. Unsure of which one is going to be told. But one ends quicker than the other. And I'll remove my hand and walk away.
Yeah, he looks uncomfortable. You see him like glance at the banner bearer, who shrugs. So you make your way back outside, and we're going to take a quick break there. We'll be back in 3 minutes. Right, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Kind of a weird session. It's just a bunch of conversations, but I think it's like super important to decide which one, and I want to give it a good.
No, all of this stuff, man.
Yeah,
This is the bread of Viscloft.
yeah, I think so too.
I totally agree because we're actually Phelim is actually sowing the seeds of what will be later on. So this is pretty critical.
Yeah.
So don't fuck it up, Jeff. All right.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's gonna happen. Like, I don't think there's an option that I pick here that doesn't fuck it up. To be fair.
Is there a save option though? That's the point.
We're all thinking it. You know it's Ogvi. We gotta get him.
It's gotta be, right?
Oh, that big bastard.
You need it. You need a beast to fight a beast.
Jax hates Ogvi so much.
You don't have to fight the Jotun without one.
It's not that I hate him because I actually don't hate him. I just don't particularly like him.
The
I think Jax has killed Ogvi twice
bastards
now.
are a good name for them.
Yes.
That's what we'll say.
So Havisla, I think at this stage, you did you make your way to them, or did you want to keep wandering around the city?
So Visla would like to maybe wander through the city, and she's keeping her ears open, making conversation where she can. I'd like to hear rumors of the different wars that are happening. Anything about the different mercenary companies I know that they're going to talk to, see if there's any
Sure.
rivalries. Just kind of an ear to the ground, and then I would also like to find a temple or someplace for Odin to make some offerings for fair weather and such things.
So the rumors that you hear is there's war in Valleyland, which is almost so common that it's almost just like a phrase. It's like saying the Pope shits in the woods. Or is the Pope shit in the woods? It's like there's war in Valleyland. Like obviously that's the case. So there's always war in Valleyland, and people are talking about that, and that there's some Spear Brothers there. But it's raiding season, so like there's all sorts of shit going on. Rumors everywhere of like this town was attacked and this town was attacked. But yeah, the only like mercenary company that you hear about is the Spear Brothers being in Valleyland.
Do we happen to hear any rumors of Phelim?
No, you don't.
I didn't think so, but I thought I'd ask.
Yep. Not yet. You can find your way to to a small temple to Odin. You know by looking that there's a huge temple to Odin and Tyr at the top of one of these mountains, but that's for citizens only. There's like this massive stone at the top there, but you can find like a quiet little shrine, like a statue basically, with like offerings and stuff where you can make an offering if you like.
Yeah, Visla would do so. Burn some incense, pour out a bit of oil, and she's just the list of things in her mind is the fair weather and the mercenaries and just all the different things that come with this. And I'm sorry, my cat. Okay, and all the different things that come with this.
What's happening?
I don't know what's wrong with my cat. She's sorry. It's okay. She's not choking. We're good.
Okay. Fair bossy.
So you make the offering to Odin of oil and various foodstuffs and such. And you can make your way through this city. It's a really impressive place. All these stone buildings and glass. There's a great many merchants and things, and you can like find your way around and see if you wanted to buy basically anything. You could do so here, like fine clothing, excellent quality tools, weapons, things of that nature. But yeah, all of the things that you would like to, or that you could want to buy, you would find here. It's a place of commerce, definitely.
Visla kind of mentally maps it out in her head, noting where some of the clothing and the armors are, and which ones appear to have the best business. And then she would like to head towards some of the taverns and see if she can spot some of the men and just keep an eye and make sure nothing too stupid is happening.
Okay, yep. So back down to the Fjaldima, where the men are cavorting. Your impression of the city is that it's untakeable. As you make your way through, you'll pass through many gates and gatehouses and stuff like that. So you'd have to get through the bottom and then up the cliff where there are many different gatehouses, and then this huge wall at the top of the cliff face that would lead to the mountain, and then the mountains themselves would gatehouses. You think that there's no possible way. You don't understand how anyone took this place ever from the giants. But it's it's an amazing sight as you make your way back down to the Fjaldima and finding some of the rougher men and seeing what they're up to. On the Street of Iron, you've walked back outside, and you can see now the fight that there are two men with axes and shields in the mud pit, and they're fighting, and one of them splinters the shield of the other and does a headbutt, and there's a cheer that comes up from the people all around.
Yeah, Phelan lets out a sigh of frustration, partially with the encounter that they had just had, and partially with what he's about to do. He kind of looks back across towards the banner, the axes. There's one more place I'd like to try.
So that's Ogvi?
Yes.
So there's nobody outside, and there's also a wide berth given to that building. It's deathly quiet around there, and you see people who are walking in the street will go out of their way to move to the other side of the street and then back around. People are avoiding it at all costs. The building is pretty spotless. Obviously nobody lingers around here. And you can open the door into what is a fairly dark longhouse. There's very few people in here. There are some men and women. You can see very near to the door, there's a man and a woman who are playing Nefertafel quietly, and they look up as they see the light from outside come in. You look at them briefly, and then you can see at the end of the hall is Ogvi himself. It is a strange sight, always a frightening sight to see a Jotun. He's got this insane red hair and wild matted beard. There you go. He's got these two horns that have been sliced off his head throughout his long life. He wears nothing except for this huge pelt. Obviously a bear, but the size of him, it must have been a bear from the elder days. He has these two axes on a table next to him. They are big enough that you would have to hold them in two hands, but they look small in his. And he's just sitting there looking at his fingernails as the door opens, and his eyes will look in your direction and then back to his nails. One of the men there at the table will stand. Hello, can I announce you?
I'm Carl Phelan, Vingvik.
He walks halfway up the long hall and then looks at Ogvi. Carl Phelan of Ingvik. He turns and looks, and he inclines his head, and the man ushers you forward to stand where he is.
Yeah, Phelan will approach.
Yes.
I need men. The best.
Then you should look at the stairways. I've only got bastards, shitheels, murderers.
Well, perhaps it's murdering that needs to be done.
And who are you, Carl? Phelan? What kind of name is that?
I'm not from around here.
No, that is clear. What do you want, Carl Phelan?
I want an army to take down Uthal Coldbrander.
Uthal Coldbrander. I hate that cunt.
That makes two of us.
See this? Used to be a horn there. That fucking treacherous bastard that sided with him took it from me. I don't like to kill my people, but that fucker deserves it.
Well, how would you fancy a chance for vengeance? And some money along the way.
It depends greatly upon the amount of money.
What's your price? You win 50 men.
For how long? I'll tell you this too. I don't have any fucking witches in my outfit. Don't have any fucking singers. What I have is men who won't hesitate to kill, to burn, to destroy. But those are the kind of men you want to bring into your lands. And if you can afford it, we'll go. But I don't need the money. It's a matter of principle. But I would think carefully. You are young.
The plan is not for them to be in my lands. It's for them to be in Coldbrander's. And they can burn whatever they like there.
To convince me to leave this comfortable room. Convince me to go up there and fight that bastard and that other bastard. And it'll take a bit of money. You pay me 100 a week. And for the boys, well, what do you think, boys?
There's like the only two people in here that aren't Ogvi at the end of the room where they're playing the chess. One of them looks up like, is he asking me? Uh, 10 a week, Ogvi. And Ogilvy like smiles.
My men have a high opinion of themselves. Rightfully so. They don't fuck around. They can kill cunts. When it comes down to it. No harder unit. Do you want me in 50? Yeah. You'll have to pay for all the rest. All logistics. All that shit. I'm no interest in it. It'll take me a week to call the boys here. Well,
How about $5 a week for the men? You can keep your price. We'll cover everything, and when it's done, you can have 70% of whatever you take from Colbrander.
$70. Hmm. That's appealing. It's a good offer. You know, you're supposed to start low, call Phelan. So that I can say something high and outrageous. And then we can meet somewhere in the middle. When you start at 70, I say 90.
$60 it is.
No. It'll be 70 and I'll have your sword. We'll call it a deal. Speak.
Sword is a high price. Need a moment to consider it.
All these people come in here and they make deals and then they get afraid when I negotiate and they decide maybe they don't want to hire or fly at all.
Deal.
He spits into his hand and he rises from the chair and like walks across to stand over you. He must be 13, 14 feet tall. He like holds out his hand, which is just enormous.
Yeah, Phelan will spit in his hand as well and offer it forward in a pathetic comparison.
Yeah, he'll take your hand in like a vice grip and shake it. He's not trying to hurt you, but he'll shake it nonetheless. And he'll look into your eyes, and you can see this cold, calculating, ancient eyes. And he'll nod.
A week it will take me to gather the boys. When I have them here, we'll set sail for Havick.
Yes, and then Colbrander.
And then Colbrander. My man will see to the particulars.
And then makes his way back onto the throne and sits. The man at the back of the room will like usher you over, and he'll like scrape onto a wax tablet and start to organize like the particulars of the contract, like how much the pay will be, when it will be delivered, all that sort of like nitty gritty legal stuff. Yeah, there's a deposit to be made now for the first week.
So all said and done, so I know it's 5 per man and then 100 per Ogbai, but what's the rest going to end up being?
It was 10 per man.
Transport and the I said 5 per man and 70%.
Oh, sorry, you're right. Yep. So that is, I mean, you're asking me to do maths here, which is not my strong point. It'll be.
I mean, it'd be 250 and then 350 counting Ogbai, but it's like there's also transport supplies. I don't know how much extra that's going to be. Is what I was asking.
Yeah, we'll say 500.
Fair enough. I'll put up 500.
Yeah, the man counts it and then like places it to the side. And then he like looks at you. Well, we'll see you soon, I suppose.
Yes, we will.
Ogvai is just sitting on the throne, and you can see he like brings up a hand and like touches one of the broken horns on his head, obviously like pondering. So Havisa, at this stage, you would have like made your way around most of the city and made your way back down to the like the docks where all the men are. You'd find your way into like a bar, and you can find Hauk and a bunch of the other like pirates and stuff. They've like taken a corner of one of these bars and are being very rowdy, very loud, and they're causing all sorts of hassle. You can see that like Hauk is standing on a table, and he like has a lute, and he's like playing this song, and there's another group of men in the opposite corner who are like looking at them, obviously unhappy, and he's singing about them and about how that men from Sodifjord are soft and that they don't know what it really is to raid and reeve and all this sort of stuff, and he's like singing this song. You can see that they're like looking very unhappy until finally like he says something a little bit too far over the line, and one of the men stands up and like throws his mead horn at Hauk and like cracks him in the forehead, and there's just silence that falls over the bar.
And this is our singer, right?
Yes.
Avisa just She kind of shakes her head and is just waiting to see actually, is this I'm not familiar with how it's going to be set up. Would this be something where you could just basically order around for like 20 people?
Sure, you could.
Yeah, if people, and she's gonna kind of take stock, and if anybody's like reaching for weapons or getting up in arms, she's gonna try and.
Oh, they are.
Ah, jeez.
On both sides, like your guys after Hauk got hit, like Hauk was like, "Oh no, you fucking," and like you can see like a bunch of them are standing and like pulling knives and stuff like that. The other side are standing up and like shouting things across the room. One of them like upends the table, and there's like this. Ksh.
And she'll find the big guy who's serving and say, give them all another round. Quickly. Shout it.
Gives you this look. You got money?
Aye.
Show me.
She'll like jingle the coin purse.
All right. This woman here says that the next round is on her for everybody. And Hauk like looks and sees you, and he like gets this grin over his face. Would be like a sod if you were to take free booze off a witch, eh? And there's like this like rabble from all sides, and fury.
She looks at the barman and goes, never mind, they're just going to fight. Let them kill themselves drunk.
And they do immediately. They start to rush, and you can see a bunch of them like are running. You're like standing somewhere in the middle where the bar is, and there's just like things being flung or whatever. But you can see like one of these Soderfjords has like eyes on you. Obviously did not enjoy the idea of you being a witch, and advances. Roll initiative, please.
Nope, I'm out the door.
Well, you could definitely try, but you're in the bar deep. You guys in the Street of Iron, you make your way outside, having like signed the contract, feeling good about yourselves. You're making your way back down to the ship.
Oh, quickly,
Yeah.
Lloyd, sorry to interrupt you, but I don't think Sigrid would have quite happily strolled down the street. I think there would be this moment when they get a few, like 10 or so paces from Ogvise, and she would turn towards Phelim and say, I'm disappointed, Carl, that you did not get a kiss from him. And there's like a pause, and then she says, well, I usually get a kiss before I'm fucked. And then she would just turn and just keep walking.
If we don't go for everything that we can, we're dead. Ingvik is dead. We're dead. Kolbrander was enough already. Now he's hired other men. He already has a Jotun. He already has a witch. This was the best choice.
I don't question your choice, Carl. I just think that you gave the man I almost called him a man. It's not a man. You almost gave the giant everything. But you are the cow. We will do what you say.
Sometimes you have to give up a lot to get the real goal. We don't get the best. We lose everything anyways. More than a sword, more than a little bit of money. We all die.
You are right, Carl. But you can see on her face that she doesn't quite believe you. Maybe a little bit of a hint of hoping that you're right.
You're like walking through the streets having this discussion. And as you do, you can see too late that like an area has kind of opened, and that there are people standing or like walking with you or alongside you. And there's like a sudden shout, and like a bunch of people from the crowd rush towards you. You can recognize on one of them the brand of Uthal. and they rush to try and deal with you now rather than later. I'll have initiative, please. Okay.
Literally made my day by making them attack us. I'm so happy.
Now, Havar isn't here, or Aska Broken Lip. Like, neither of them are here. These are obviously like hired thugs or whatever. So it's not the people who you had seen in the bar, but they're obviously working for Uthal. Okay, so that is yeah. So they rush forward, but Phelim, you can like spot it at the last second, and you can see that there's 4 of them rushing towards you from different sides.
Did they make it close enough to be in melee-ish?
Ish, yeah.
Like as in, we could attack them without moving.
No, like they'll get to you on their turn, you know, but they're within a movement.
Okay, yeah, I was just wondering if I should use called shot now, not called shot, but pick your targets now or later. So I'll save it. Yeah, Phelim's just gonna shout, ready, men! They come, trying to kill us quickly before we get back. And he's just gonna go towards the nearest thug, and pull out this sword, and try to carve one of them up with my 2 attacks now. So I got 15 and 18.
The sword was given to Ugva, I know.
Did I already give it to him, or was
that would have been part of the deal? Yeah.
Up front. Okay.
Yep, like part of the deposit would have been the sword and the money.
Okay, that wasn't explicit. So.
Sorry, yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah,
but
like,
you would be
I
armed
would
with other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's still the same rolls. I'll just use my Sayax instead.
Okay, no problem.
15, 18.
Okay, 18 hits.
Alrighty, that is going to be 7 piercing. Goes to make 1 strike at him. Is able to anticipate it, but he goes in for a second one. Clips him with the side of the blade.
Okay, no problem. Vagnar, you can see these targets moving around, like approaching, all of them heading towards Phelim. There's a woman who's like heavily armed and armored. There's a really, really large man who has this boar spear. And let me just see what the list is. Yeah, there's another woman who has a 2-handed sort of Dane axe. And then there is one more.
Okay, Vagnar is gonna. Are there still people in the street with us that aren't involved in the conflict?
You would have noticed people like starting to move away as they like. That's like what gave you the second's notice, is that people like saw or like sensed the tension and started to move away. There are still some people in the crowd.
So in that case, Vagnar is going to take the the initiative, and he's going to make a stealth check of 24 to move with the crowd. So he remains hidden. I understand if that means I can't strike at them this turn, though, Lloyd.
Yeah, no, I think you can like duck in behind like some of these people. They won't see you.
Perfect. I would have pre-rolled the attack. I assumed I wasn't going to attack. Bear with me. 19 for a sneak attack.
Yes, sir. Is there a particular one that you'd like to try and strike?
Apologies, yeah, I should probably select who I'm actually attacking.
Oh, good.
The one who's closest to Phelim, I think.
Okay, so that'll be Svankettel, this like heavily armored woman.
Yeah, perfect. So he's going to do 25 points of damage.
Oh my goodness.
Now 3d6.
Okay, can you give me a d10, please?
Gladly, sir. That's a 2.
Okay. So the blow is much worse than it seems. You like managed to come in under one of the gaps in the chain, and like goes in under the armpit and into the chest cavity, and you pull it out, and there's just like this like bright red blood, and she falls dead.
Oh man, yeah. And with that, Vagnar is going to disappear back into the mass with his cunning action.
Okay. Sigverker.
So, it is the kind of Throng approaches, and Sigverker is kind of smacked in the jaw by an errant shoulder. He's going to trigger his what'd you try it? Berserk Gang. The quick method.
Yep.
So he's going to trigger that. How are we doing the offhand weapon, drawing offhand weapon bonus action, or?
I think like drawing weapons, I don't worry too much about it. I think you can just draw weapons.
Okay, because ideally I'd have a cudgel in one hand and a hatchet in the other.
Perfect.
Okay. Forgoing the shield. So I'm going to take my first swing at the errant person that happened to be the unlucky soul.
Who
That
bumped
caught
into
my
you?
attention. Yeah. And it's going to be a 21 with the main hand and a 23 with the offhand.
2 hits.
Which is going to be, if I can find the correct dice, 15 points of damage.
Okay.
And the second attack on them is a non-natural 20 and a 19.
Yep.
For 11 points of damage.
Jesus. Yeah, so badly bloodied immediately, these 2 brutal strikes. One with the cudgel, one with the axe. And they like stumble back from you. This woman in armor as well stumbles away, quite terrified from the onslaught. Svankettel is already dead. In the bar, you can see one of these Soderfjorders, Havisla, has like pulled a long knife from a sheath and is like approaching you, like muscling through the crowd, and gets close and is going to try and swing for you. That's going to miss. That's a critical hit. Oh, God. Okay. It's going to be 6 damage. And you would think by now I would have learned to have the tables open.
Now, what do I need to roll for that?
A d20 and a d12.
12 on the 20.
Okay. And the d12?
3.
Okay. So the knife like goes into your thigh, and like as it pulls out, it seems to like you just like lose feeling of the leg for a moment. You are going to fall prone on your numb leg. For now, that's it. So he does that. Einrun is the woman with the large Danax. She's going to like rush forward and try and strike at Phelim. What's your armor class?
16.
Okay, so only one hit.
He's too far away from Sigrid, isn't he? He moved away from her.
I imagine you're fairly close.
Because if he's close enough, I would impose disadvantage on the attacks.
Okay, yep, I'll allow it. I think you'd be like walking side by side, so. Okay, so that'll make that second attack miss then. The big Danax like comes over the top, but you're able to like bash it to the side of the shield, and then as like the butt end comes up, you're able to like protect as well. Okay, that was Einrun. Sigrid, it's your turn.
Sigrid uses the momentum of blocking those blows to make 2 of her own with her war axe. And I pre-rolled them a 19 and a 21.
That's 2 hits.
All right, and that's going to be 8 and 10, so 18 all up.
Is this against the woman with the big axe, or the other woman who was armored, who Sigvard had struck?
It was the woman with the Dane axe, right, that attacked him. It seems more natural that would be the one that she would strike first.
You said 18?
Yeah, 18 all up.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so this armored woman is going to strike out towards you now, Sigvarker. Okay, so one of them is going to connect, and I need you to make a con save, please.
Con save, you say. Is this a grit or just straight up con?
Con save.
Okay. Oh shit, that's a botch.
Okay, so the axe like rakes across your chest, and as you like reel back, shakes her other hand and just like shoves her finger into one of your eyes, and then rakes the other one across. You're going to be blinded until you take an action to succeed on a grit check.
Okay.
So she like shoves her dirty fingers into your eyes, and then you stumble back ever so slightly. That was Sigdis. Wisla.
How long is my leg numb for? I'm on the floor.
Indefinitely. Yep.
She, I guess, would maybe look up to the bartender guy, and just kind of with him. Help me, please. Please, I'm with child. Don't let him kill me.
Okay, is that what you're going to do for your turn?
Yeah, if it takes a turn to successfully get him to assist, then absolutely.
Yeah, it's not an action to speak. If you want to take an action, you can do so.
I would like to attempt to crawl away from this guy.
Okay. He will opportunity attack you if you try and crawl away.
Ah, shoot. Okay, never mind, I don't.
Okay. All right. Bjarngeir is this very large man, also with a Danax. He's going to rush towards Phelim as well and try and cut his head off. One of those will connect. Is it once you could do that, Sigrid, or can you do it again with the protect?
No, I can only do it once. I need to use my reaction to do it.
No problem. So then it'll be 9 damage, Phelim. And you'll take 5, Sigrid, for being next to Phelim. Like it's this big swing, and like it like cuts into him and then also into your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was Bjarngeir. Down in the bar, there's chaos everywhere. There's like people throwing things, and you can see like one of your warriors, Havisla, just like grab a guy by the back of the head and like pull him back and cut his throat. There's like fighting going on all over. But one of them sees you on the floor and like has this like sickening grin come over his face, and he walks over and he's going to try and kick you in the head. It's another crit. So you'll take D4. So you'll take 4 bludgeoning from the kick to the head, and then I need you to roll me a D20, please.
I'm going to go ahead and use my Scan of Fate and roll a 4 for the D20, because low is good, right?
Yes.
Yeah, roll a 4 on that.
Okay, so he kicks you in the head. There's just this poof. You're going to be stunned until the end of your next turn, and you have disadvantage on wisdom perception checks for the rest of the day. As the boot just like catches you right in the face, and you're like, you see stars as you fall onto your back. Phelan.
Phelan's going to look to the rest of his companions. We've drawn them in and they've approached. Now, attack! I'm going to use a spirit in here, so all of my friends get to make an attack against whoever they want to.
Okay, so everyone can
shit, really?
go for it.
Yeah, so I believe I can do up to 4, but I think there's just 3 other than me.
Yeah.
So Sigvarker, Sigrid, and Ragnar, you all get to make 1 attack as a reaction.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man.
Whoever is closest, Ragnar strikes with a 19.
Okay, so I'll say you come out of the crowd behind Bjorngeir, and that is a hit. You can go ahead and give me a damage. It is a sneak attack.
It is?
Oh, yeah?
Oh, very kind.
Can't see you. Oh, wait, can you do it? It's once per round, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and also...
No, it's once per turn.
Okay.
I don't mind, Lloyd. It's up to you.
Actually.
I don't think I would get it.
No,
I mean, I don't think you ever get them with like opportunity attacks or anything, so I don't see why this would differ.
You definitely can, because I use it all the time with in the Rome game.
Well, if you did it, then Lloyd, okay.
I think you're okay. Go for it.
For 18 points of damage.
Fucking hell! I should have said no.
3d6 and 3d6 plus the weapon.
Did you say 18?
Aye.
Okay. Whew, he's barely breathing. The Sayax like goes in and out the other side, like out through his collarbone, and then you like pull it out. He lets out this like ragged gasp, but he stands still. Sigrid?
All right, I got a 15 on mine, and I'm swinging at the Dane axe girl. I don't know if
Yep.
you'll hit it. Okay, so that's 12.
12 is going to miss, unfortunately.
No, 12 will... I got a 15 to hit and a 12 damage.
Yep, 15 is actually good. 12. Okay, she's dead. Tell me.
It's nothing fancy. She just cuts low, and it takes her leg just above the knee, and she just falls to the ground, bleeding out, screaming.
Okay, perfect. And Sigvarker.
The one that's got the finger in Sigvarker's eyes. He doesn't drop his cudgel or his hatchet. Instead, he reaches out and reaches around and bear hugs her and brings her closer. And he's going to try and bite her on the face.
Yes.
Cheek or nose doesn't matter to him. So, I'm rolling with disadvantage because I'm blinded, I guess.
Yep.
So that's a 21.
Fuck, definitely, yeah.
I like these dice. I don't know what damage that is, but yeah.
You're a berserker. I'll say it's a D4 as
D4.
opposed to just plus strength.
D4 plus strength. 2 plus 5 damage.
Okay. Okay, so here's what happens. You go to like bite a cheek, but you can't see, and you bite into the throat, and you just like pull out this artery, something like that, and blood just sprays. There's this horrible, well, maybe for you it's glorious, this spray of blood into your face. But the rest of you can see, and there's like screams from people around who just see a man tear out the throat of another person in the street. Blood is spraying everywhere, and you can see Sigvarker just like the body drops. God, that was fucking grim. Love it.
Yeah, and Phelan's just gonna like turn to whoever is not dead and just like look at him. Like, come on.
Yes, I think there's only Bjorn Gear left. Okay, that was Sigvarker. In the bar, this guy is hovering
That
over
was
you.
actually me. So it goes to Vagnar and Sigvarker now.
God, okay, yep. So there's that man in front of you still, Wagner, who you've just stabbed in the back. Bjorn Gear.
Is he the only one that remains?
Yes, he is.
Vagnar's going to yell, "Take him alive!" and is going to do his best to disable him non-lethally. So I don't know what you want me to do.
If you want to make me, you can either make an attack and drop your damage die by 1, so you hit him with the blunt end, or you can just make a grapple and try and hold him in place.
I'll happily drop the 1 damage die.
Yeah.
21 to hit, so I think that's going to do it.
Yes, sir.
That's 9, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
Fuck, okay, so I don't even know if that can be... So you're going to hit him with the blunt end of your sword, but I feel like there's definitely some sort of like skull damage with that amount of damage, you know?
Oh, okay.
He'll fall unconscious onto the ground, but he's bleeding from his ear. He's not dead, but he's not doing well.
So he just bellows, "Take him alive," and they just beat him with
Cracks his skull, yeah.
Oh, man.
Okay. Wagner. The bad guys are now dealt with up in the Street of Iron. So I'm just going to continue down into the bar and see what happens there, right? Arnhilde is going to look down at you, Havisla, and he's going to just try and shank you to death. He actually misses his first. What's your AC?
15.
Okay, he actually misses both. 14 there. So he's trying to get at you, but maybe you're just like scurrying away, and like the first one like thunk into the ground, and then the second one as well thunk between your legs, as you're scurrying around on the ground, and he's trying to get you, and it's your turn.
So a mechanics question: if I'm prone, can I disengage? Is that a thing? I can't remember.
Yeah, you can disengage, but I don't know what your move speed would be prone.
Yeah.
Probably be half, I would imagine.
I think it's half, yeah.
Plus, I have a numb leg, which I'd say would probably bring it down to a quarter.
Sure, let's say that.
Um,
You have weapons, right?
I do have. Oh, that's right. I have the dagger. That's right. I'm sorry. I only had the spear listed on my sheet, which I'm pretty sure she was not carrying around. Yeah. No. Thank you. I feel dumb. Yeah. She'll reach and pull out this kind of finely edged dagger, and she's gonna try and jab it right into the foot of the guy who kicked her in the head.
Okay, go for it.
Oh. 14.
That'll hit.
It's not gonna be much. Yeah, 3 damage. Oh, no, Rob's just reminded me. I'm stunned.
Oh, you totally are. Yeah, you've been kicked in the head. Yep, thanks, Rob.
Sorry, guys.
Okay. This other dude is like approaching. You can barely see like through your blurred vision. He like lifts up his club to bash your brains in, and then the bartender punches him in the mouth. And he like stands over and he's like, "Listen, boys, you can just barely hear this like sort of echoing like you can't even hear the words being said." And Gunfather is going to attack him instead. Fucking bottles it. So he's trying to get at this bartender. The bartender has like a cudgel that he keeps behind the bar for this kind of event, and is able to like dunk, dunk, twice block. And that is Arnhilde, who's going to try and finish you off. Do you want the good news or the bad news? He misses the first, but the
But he
second
crits
one,
on the second.
another crit. Yep.
God, the dice are against me.
Fucking hell. You're going to take 6 piercing. And I need a d12 and a d20 from you.
As I say a prayer to the All-Father. Shit. It's a 16.
Oh, and the d12?
4.
This is likely to get very ugly. It's your other leg. Oh, no.
Lloyd, this is the face you make whenever you realize how bad your crit chart really is.
Yeah, yep. Okay, so he takes his like CX and he like inverts it and just like right through your kneecap, and out the other side. There's like this awful pain for a moment, and then there's like numbness. Oh man.
Yeah, there's just this animalistic shriek as the pain courses through her.
So make me a con save.
So the important question is her leg still attached, though?
That remains to be seen. Actually, sorry, a grit check is what you should make, not a con save.
Oh, okay, not a con save, but a grit check. Damn, I'm not proficient in grit. 16?
Okay. You're not stunned. What's your constitution modifier?
I have a +3.
Okay, so in 3 rounds, you'll start to suffer a cumulative penalty of -2 to strength, dexterity, and constitution each turn. When any of those reach 0, you fall unconscious. If you pass a con save, the wound will clot before you have bled out. Otherwise, 2d10 turns, you will die. So it just goes right through the leg, basically, and like there's just blood pouring out at extreme speed. And he like looks up, certain that the job is done, to turn on the bartender. And it's your turn. Make a con save.
$14.
Okay. It's still bleeding. And now you can act.
Yeah, now I will... Actually, no, I think she's in too much pain to do anything, honestly. I think if she just had something driven through her kneecap, yeah, I don't think she would be able to fight at this point, honestly.
Well, it's life or death at this stage. But if you want to do nothing, you certainly can.
She'll try and reach out with her dagger, aiming again for that guy's foot.
Yeah, you gotta save that baby.
19 on the die.
Yep, for sure.
And 3 damage.
Surprisingly, he's still up after taking a total of 6 damage from you. You like stab him in the leg, and he like looks down, realizing that you're not dead. Okay. I think at this stage, like a boot hits you in the face as he tries to knock you out. So a 14 and an 18. Here's he 15.
Yep.
So it'll be 5 more damage.
Am I taking damage every turn from that wound on my leg?
No.
Okay.
So another kick in the face. You can feel like your nose break, and like you can barely see anymore. That was Arnhilde. So your turn.
She's gonna keep doing the only thing she can do. Is the bartender still there?
Yeah, that's why Gunfather didn't smash you.
Oh, okay. 17 on the die.
Yep.
4 damage.
Okay. So you managed to like nick something in the back of his knee, and you hear this like almost like twanging sound, and he like falls down onto one knee, and there's like blood pouring. The floor is like soaked in blood from your leg, from his leg, and everything else. Like the reeds and rushes here are totally blood soaked and disgusting. But he like falls down and he goes pale, and his eyes roll back, and he is unconscious. This guy is going to try and mess with the bartender some more. So you see this this other guy. Jesus, these guys are killing him. The bartender like brings up the club, and this guy like takes the axe that he has and just like swings it upwards, and it catches the bartender in the chin, who goes flying into the bar, and then like thumps onto the ground. It's your turn.
If this guy's close enough, I'm gonna try and stab right in his gut. Maybe if I can push myself up to sitting. I do not though. I'm not strong enough to sit up, I guess, all the way.
Okay, yeah, you're trying. All around you, like you can see that your boys are having a better time of it than theirs. Like being the reaving crew that they are, they're like kicking and punching and stabbing, and you can see Kavarl like grab the shirt of one guy and just like burst his nose with a headbutt, and he like stumbles back. He like looks briefly in your direction, and his eyes widen for a moment, and then it's going to be this other dude who's going to try and mess you all the way up. Okay, he's going to hit you twice. Dice is gone. Minimum damage, so you'll take 5 from 2 attacks. So he's like got this club, and he's just like battering you with it as you're on the ground. And it's your turn.
Vista just wipes some of the blood from her eyes, wipes it on her palms real quick, and claps her hands together. And there's a boom. And this guy's gonna go flying back as I cast Thunderclap. What's Thunder? That's just, yeah, it's just, I guess he doesn't go flying back, but it's just gonna boom. And I don't know if that will stun him, but I'd at least a distraction, something.
So he makes a con save. Give me 1 second. Bottles it. Remedy. What level are you?
5.
2d6.
Ooh, max damage.
So 12?
12.
Okay, so this guy, you like clap your hands together, and there's this like you see like 2 of the bottles in the bar like smash, and like this guy is like knocked down onto the ground. He like hits his head off a table, and just like doesn't move again. Also, Kavarl is like knocked onto his knees, and he like turns around like, what the fuck? And like 3 other dudes who are standing there are like knocked down as well. And there's like a silence that falls over the bar. And like Hauk looks around and sees that you're almost dead, and then he's like, oh fuck, and they run forward, your boys, and like stand in a circle around you. The Soderfjorders are like mostly dealt with, and they start to like make their way towards the door, trying to get away as best they can. in the street of iron. There's all these dead bodies all over the place and like blood all over the streets. And as they're kind of like after the fight, you can see 4 stern-faced, heavily armored men like run. What the fuck is going on here? Hey, I'm talking to you. What's fucking going on?
We were attacked. Group of thugs hired to kill us, if I had to guess. We defended ourselves.
You fucking killed them. In the city.
They tried to kill us.
Are any of them still living?
Barely.
Right. You'll be coming with us.
Sigverker, still blinded and bloodied. He's going to shake the blood from his eyes like a hound coming in from the rain and look up at the city guard. There's these 4 figures that have appeared and just bloodied. Utter fuck off.
They like look for a second and they look between each other. You can't kill people in the city limits. There's laws here.
Fuck off now.
An intimidation, please.
Yep. $18.
So they like look at you guys and the blood all over you and like the obviously easily dispatched enemies. And they see Sigverker covered in bones and blood. And they just like take 2 steps back. This is not the end of this. Don't leave the city. But they start to retreat into the crowd. And you're free-ish to go where you please. You can make your way back down to the docks, which I assume is what you want to do. And you'll see 4 of your boys, Kavarl, Hauk, Gorm, and Skander, are like carrying Visla out and like up. You can see that like you encounter them, that like her leg, one of them is bleeding heavily, the other one is almost severed, and they're bringing her up into like the healing area, like where the herbalists and the witches are. You're still conscious of Isla. These dudes are carrying you.
I'm not sure if Isla is saying anything, but she is thinking very dark thoughts about Hawk and how it's his fault that all this started, for calling her a witch in lands that don't take kindly to witches. And she's thinking very dark thoughts as they jostle her every step of the way on these streets.
They push through and eventually like arrive at a healer. It's not the woman you were at earlier. It's like an older woman who like quickly like brings you in and like starts to like look at the leg and etc. Is there anything else you guys like would like to do or say?
I think Vagnar would have been dragging his unconscious captive, but seeing this will actually rush and follow to the House of the Healing. He's going to fling the person that they've captured to Sigverka, knowing that he will be more than capable of restraining this individual. And he's going to rush to Hivisla, and he's going to bellow in Kval's face. How did you let this happen?
It was just a fight. There was a fucking fight. Shouting and fucking, they were giving us loads of shit.
Vagnar backhands Kval.
Oh, fucking hell. They started it.
Don't fucking care. We're going to be quiet here. Enough trouble has been caused. As useless as this dumb bitch is, we need her.
He like wipes some of the blood from his nose and he like nods.
Bagnar nods, seeing he understands. And then is going to go to Havisla's side and basically be watching, seeing what's happening to her.
So she's brought into this like healer, and everyone kind of piles in, and the woman is like, out, out. And I need space. And she's like moving around. She's like picking herbs over here and like grabbing things left, right, and center. And she's got like a needle heating in a fire, and like also like a blade that's in a fire so that she can cauterize. She's looking around, and she like spots whoever she thinks is wealthiest and says, money, money.
That would probably be me.
Yeah.
And Phelim would immediately just reach into to his pouch and throw 10 hack silver at her.
There'll be more where that came from, she says, and like begins the arduous process of trying to save these legs. And so you'll be standing there like for some time, like waiting to see what happens here as she like works through the night, like trying to clean those wounds and like reconnect things that have been disconnected and close up whatever is possible. And so deep into the night, you would hear like Havisa like groaning with pain, and the woman chanting, and like this thick smoke coming from the hut. That's like what we'll leave it at, this desperate attempt to save Havisa's legs that have been brutally battled in this bar. So thanks very much, guys. That was very, very fun. And if you watched, I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.